discussion. And the 17th day of Tammuz is a good day to talk about where was the city of Jerusalem during the first temple period, because it's the date when we fast, commemorating or remembering the destruction of the city of Jerusalem. You know what? Maybe we can go on a map and talk about where was the city of Jerusalem. Okay, but we say Jerusalem. Okay, and if we talk about Jerusalem today, okay, the city of Jerusalem is a very big city. Okay, let me just put it on screen. Okay, the city of Jerusalem is basically the city with the most people in Israel today. If you consider the jurisdiction of Jerusalem, almost 800, 900,000 people. Okay, so that's like the modern Jerusalem. You can see all this area is modern day Jerusalem, but it was never just look at how much I have to zoom in just to get to what is known as the old city of Jerusalem. Okay, and that's obviously not the first temple period, but the second temple, or close to what was the second temple, but the walls of the old city are Ottoman walls. Okay, they are about 500 years. Okay, and this is the old city of Jerusalem. However, the ancient city of Jerusalem during the first temple period was not the old city, and I'm leaving the what is built just to look at the terrain itself. Okay, so this is the city of David. Okay, when there is essentially the okay, there is the two main rivers, okay, or three main rivers, really, if you look at it. And when I say rivers, I mean wadis, not rivers, because they don't have any water in them, and they're not rivers. You can see one valley or one wadi here. Okay, do you see the wadi on the map, guys? Do you see this wadi? Do you see there is a mountain here and a mountain here, which creates a wadi in the middle?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Do you see another wadi here?
Okay, yeah.
Do you see? So
Yep.
this is the Kidron. Okay, and this is Gay Ben Hinnom. Okay, this is the wadi of Gay Ben Hinnom. Gay means of wadi anyway. So that's the wadi of Hinnom, or the son of Hinnom. Okay, Ben Hinnom or Hinnom. Okay, I'll put in son of, because it's known by both names, Gay Hinnom or Gay Ben Hinnom. Okay, and the word Gehinnom that people use for hell is related to this wadi. Okay, so these are the two wadis. Now I need you to look closely. Okay, there is a third wadi. Here. Can you see it? Can you see how here there is an ascension and here there is an ascension, and basically there is another wadi in the middle?
Are they flowing in the same direction, down?
Okay, it's a good question. They are flowing south north, okay, north to south. There is another one flowing here, if you can also see there is a smaller one, west to east, flowing west to east. But these are the main wadis. It looks a little bit like a shin. Okay, the letter shin, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What's the middle one called?
Okay.
No.
Okay, so the middle one is called by the very ingenuitive name, the Middle Wadi, or the Central Wadi. In the Second Temple period is the Wadi of the Teropeon. Okay, the later name is the Wadi of Teropeon, which people don't really know what it means. It might mean the cheesemaker Wadi. Okay, it might be cheesemaking or cheesemaker valley, but that's the Central Wadi. Okay, and the city of the First Temple period, King David, the city of King David is here. Okay, is here. Okay, there is a bit of a, okay, that's the triangle here, somewhere around here, not covering all of this triangle, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the city of King David. Then the temple is added. That's the, you can see there is a bit of a this part that connects these two hills. This is the mountain of Moriah. Okay, and basically that's where the temple was, the El Aqsa Mosque and the Haram al-Sharif, right? The Temple Mount. So this is added to this, and there is now a temple. And we're talking about the time of King David. King Solomon is building the temple and building also the Milo, which is probably here. Okay, the known in the Bible as the Milo might have to do with the fact that it had to be filled in order to create a connection between these. And this was thought to be, for a very long time, the extent of the city of First Temple period. You have to understand that this is fairly small. Okay. Later on, later on, excavation showed that really the what's known as this is known as the Eastern Hill. Okay, the area that I've marked here is Eastern Hill. Later on, during excavations, another wall that was made by Hezekiah was found, and that wall included the Western Hill, which is roughly this area. Okay, showing that Jerusalem was much bigger than was believed. Okay, and had not about 1,000, 2,000 people, but by an order of magnitude bigger, somewhere around 20,000 people, between 15 and 30. Okay, that's already a very significant city, and that's in the time of the destruction, that was the size of Jerusalem. So this is Jerusalem. You have to understand that the earliest part of Jerusalem, which is the city of David, is actually outside the walls of Jerusalem. So I'll use a different color for us to see the difference. We can use green because Sultan Suleiman was Muslim. So let these walls, okay, are the walls of the old city today that you know. Okay, and
those were built by Suleiman.
Yeah, but those were built by Suleiman. In many places following the traditional part of the wall. So remember, I said that Hezekiah had a wall. So the wall of Hezekiah, and then the wall of the Second Temple period, and so forth. The Hasmoneans and basically every period since was, let's say, in this part, same as Sultan Suleiman's. wall. Okay. In some parts, they're identical because it doesn't make any sense to put it anywhere else, strategically and so forth. So much of the things repeat themselves. But the red line here is the size of the city in the time of Hezekiah. However, the city of David, which is the earliest part, is outside the walls of the old city. So the oldest part of Jerusalem is not part of the old city of Jerusalem. So you've got the old city of Jerusalem, and you've got, if you will, the ancient city of Jerusalem, which is outside the old city. I know it's confusing, but that's the reality.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Okay, that's a little bit about this. Yes, Betsy.
How long ago did they start excavating the city of David that they even knew where it was, Netanel? Has that been a long time?
It's a great question. Okay. And it's a rather complicated one, but the whole science of archaeology is a very young science. Okay. It's about 150 years young. Okay. There were people who were pillaging antiquities or antiques in other places, but the science of archaeology is a very young science. Okay. It starts with William Matthew Flinders Petrie. Okay. And Telasach. And again, we're talking about 150 years roughly. Okay. People knew that this city was part of Jerusalem and so forth. They didn't start excavating there for nothing. Okay. Oftentimes you have the names preserved by the local people. So for instance, just let's take this as an example. The Arab neighborhood that is here is Silwan. Okay. Silwan is the biblical Hebrew Shiloach.
Yep.
So you have the preservation of the name. So this is the pool of Shiloach, it from first temple, second temple, that this is where the city of David was. So you don't go and excavate, I don't know, in Tel Aviv in order to find Jerusalem. Okay.
Yeah.
So and everybody knew where Jerusalem is. Jerusalem had a consistent and constant presence in the last, let's say, 4,000 years. By the way, before David is already coming to an existing city, a city that existed 1,000 years before David. We know that for a fact. It is mentioned in the execration texts of the Egyptians about 1,000 years before David, ranging from, let's say, 900 years before David. Okay. Yes, Frank.
Is there, have they discovered from much earlier period, the original
Canaanite
Jebusite sites, and perhaps where Melchizedek was and so forth?
So you're using the term Jebusite, but I would use the word Canaanite. Okay, the Jebusite is a very specific and a relatively late. David is coming to a Jebusite city.
Yes,
but in the earlier mentionings of Jerusalem, we have three sources that predate the biblical mentioning of Jerusalem. The earliest that Jerusalem is mentioned in the Bible is not by David, is in the book of Joshua. Okay, but predating the time of the book of Joshua, we have the Egyptian execration texts, both from 19th and 17th century before the Common Era, roughly, and we have the letters of Elamarna, which are of the 14th century before the Common Era.
Yeah.
And the name Jebusite is not mentioned there, so we can call it Canaanite. Okay. Are there any remnants to the Canaanite city? The answer is probably yes. There is sometimes a debate when you find something of what period it is. Okay, you guys know it because some of you have heard a lecture about archaeomagnetism just not too long ago, and
Yes.
you know of carbon-14, and you know the difficulty in dating and pottery. So there are discussions of certain things. Were they by the Canaanites or by David? This is also the site of the Canaanite city that predated David. So yes, the answer is basically yes.
Okay, so what they called the Melchizedek, the high priest, the high priest of and king of Salem. Is this where it was?
If Shalem in that
Shalem.
verse, if
Yes.
Shalem in that verse means Jerusalem, this is where that king lived.
Okay. But you don't really
So,
have.
so
You don't really know for
you
sure.
noted that I was like
Yeah.
adding stipulations there and caveats.
Oh, sure.
Listen. Yeah, the answer, if I'm taking my kids, or I'm taking someone who I know is coming to see, then the answer is yes. If I have to be like academically cautious about it, then I would have to assume that Shalem there means Jerusalem. Okay. Reasonable, but not the only suggestion.
Right.
Okay. There is a village by that name next to Shechem, and we have Jacob who is coming to Shalem Ir Shechem.
Yeah.
Right? Vayavo Yaakov Shalem Ir Shechem. So it can be that Jacob came completely or whole, not unharmed to the area of Shechem. But the Samaritans, they said, no. Shalem is in the area of Shechem, because this is the chosen area, right? The Har Gerizim area.
Oh yeah.
Har Gerizim is the chosen place. And there is a village by the name of Shalem, okay, Salem, okay, next to Shechem. So I would have to assume that Shalem is Jerusalem. Moreover, I would have to assume that the whole episode happens in Jerusalem, okay, and not elsewhere. But yes, if he lived in Jerusalem in the time of Abraham, he lived here in the city of David. How do we know that?
Don't know.
Good question. What does a city need in order to exist? Why, or moreover, why did Jerusalem start on this hill and not this hill? We said that we have the eastern hill and the western hill. So you need four things in order to have a city in the ancient world. And you need water, okay?
Yep.
So let's put water. Okay. What else?
Security of some sort.
Security.
Yeah.
Okay. You need road. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you have to connect the city to other places. Okay. And
you need fields to grow or pasture.
Right. Okay. You need soil. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. You need good ground soil. Okay.
Yep.
So as far as the road, which road goes next to Jerusalem? Is there a road going next to Jerusalem? So I don't know, Betsy, you've been here and I don't know who took you around Jerusalem, but some of the tour guides, they love saying, "Oh, Jerusalem has no roads next to it." I don't know. Some like to say that.
It has a
It's
subway.
come again.
It has a subway.
And no. Today, I'm talking about ancient times, obviously.
Yeah, right.
In ancient times, so there is a road.
We did the road between the Mount of Olives and the Temple Mount. That was the big road I remember, Netanyahu.
No, but the Mount of Olives, that's not a part of a national or an international road of trade route in the ancient times. There
About
is.
Damascus.
Come again?
About the road to Damascus.
Okay, so which road leads to Damascus?
The road goes to Jericho.
So there is what's known as the Road of the Patriarchs. Okay, yeah. And the Road of the Patriarchs is not an international road. It's not like Megiddo or Chatzor or other cities like that who are sitting on an international road. Jerusalem is sitting, let's say, good half an hour walk from a national road, but not an international road. So you have a road. It's not the best road, but it's an okay road, not too far. It's not on the road and it's not an international road, but it's all right. Okay. Then water we'll leave aside for a second. Soil, you've got Emek Rephaim, again, not too close, but you've got some areas of the Kidron, the valley here that you can work with. Okay, you can grow. The soil is very good. Okay, you can grow on the soil in around Jerusalem. And security, Jerusalem, as you can see, ancient Jerusalem is protected from this direction, and this direction. Remember, because we have valleys. Okay, and even though this is a high mountain, and this is a high mountain, and this is a high mountain, higher than Jerusalem. Remember, the Bible says, what does the Bible say about Jerusalem and mountains? You know that verse from Psalms, guys. Yerushalayim harim saviv la. Jerusalem has mountains surrounding it.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
Right? Everybody knows that. And so you would think it is not protected if it has mountains around it. The Mount of Olives, right? Okay, the Mount of Olives, Ras El Amud, Abu Tor, the Western Hill. Okay? These are all mountains around Jerusalem. The Mount Moriah. Okay, and if Jerusalem is here, it is indeed surrounded by mountains, as the Bible says. Okay, but these mountains, definitely the ones here, and here are too far for weapons of the First Temple period to be able to harm the city. So it's well protected, even though it's blocking the view, right? You don't see much when you stand in the city of David. You can see these mountains, but you cannot see all the way to the horizon as you would have in other places. So you need to protect yourself mainly from the north. Okay, other parts are fairly naturally protected. You would have a wall, but you do have protection. As far as all of these criteria, the western hill is better because it's closer to the road. It's closer to the fields of Emek Rephaim. It is also protected very nicely by valleys from all three directions, maybe even better than the city of David. But the one thing that led the ancient Jerusalemites to decide they're starting their city in the city of David, what would become the city of David, obviously, calling it the city of David would be anachronistic, is the water. Is the water. Because the Gihon spring, okay,
Yes.
is a very impressive spring, especially in ancient times. And each and every one of you who walked through the tunnel of Hezekiah knows that,
I
right?
think it's amazing, really.
Did you walk through it, Betsy? Yeah. So
Yes, it was so fun.
it is the
You had to walk through water, like knee high, right?
knee high, in some places even in the beginning and the end even higher than a knee.
And it's dark.
Yeah, and when people come to the city of David, they don't come to hear me talking about archaeology and the Bible. They come in order to walk in those waters. They have to suffer someone who thinks is interesting until they get to the water. So it's that's what it is.
I would suffer it. No, it's okay.
Thank you very much, Frank. But I have to be frank about it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. Yeah, I have to keep in mind.
I have one other question that pertains to this is when David bought the threshing floor from Aravna. Do you know where that threshing floor is?
Not really, but it is the city of David. Okay. That's do I have like the barley with
No, I don't. I don't know if you guys, actually found anything or not, questions I probably should be asking Gabby Barkai when you get him on.
Gabi Barkai unfortunately is not in good health. So I hope I'll pray for him, but he's he's not in good health. But I was just talking yesterday in the synagogue, and we had some time between the evening prayer and the prayer before, so I talked a little bit, and I even told the story of the finding of the silver amulets, as I was told by Dr. Gabi Balkai himself. It's a very interesting story. Maybe one day we'll talk about it. But they were found here. Okay.
Yep.
That's where the silver amulets were found. City of David is here. As we said, during the first temple period, definitely during the time of Hezekiah, we are the city is not just on the eastern hill, but also on the western hill, which means that the just across the city you would have burial sites, and you do have here, okay, around the city, burial sites.
Yep.
Okay, and that's the burial site in which the silver amulets were found. These were the earliest biblical text that was found anywhere.
Yep.
The story of finding them and the content of these amulets is breathtaking, really, the unbelievable, really.
Yeah, I saw some stuff on that, and when they opened them up and so forth,
it took them 3
quite
years
a while to get those open without destroying them.
Right, it took them 3 years until they figured out how they can open them. And everybody was involved, like laboratories, the police, and it was a big issue how to open it without destroying it. We're talking about, just to have reference, we're talking about 2 amulets. The smaller one, smaller than 2 inches. The bigger one is about 4 inches. Okay, and they were rolled. So think of small, like cigarette, maybe even like the smaller type, like excuse me for not being chauvinistic, the ones that women used to smoke, like the thin ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like the filters on a on the cigarettes.
Yeah, we're
about
talking
the
about
size.
that size, one of 4 centimeters, which is less than 2 inches, and the other one about 4 inches, like about 10 centimeters. But again, this is here, and this is late First Temple finding, according to Dr. Gabi Barkai and most scholars. So that's the silver amulets.
And that was
Sure.
that was out of number 6, right? That was the
Right.
priestly prayer
Yeah.
to the over, well, yeah.